to Siman Lamed Tes Seif Ches. So the Mechaber says, "Ein nikachim." You can't buy tefillin ela min hamumcha. He has to be an expert. Shebaki b'chaseres v'yaseres, and an expert is someone who knows exactly how the letters are supposed to be written, not to be a chaser, not to be a yeser. Mishnah Berurah says, "Avol loy mimi she'eina mumcha." Meaning, don't think you could just buy it from an Amaretz and say, "I'll check it." Because maybe the bedika will not be done properly. And it's a whole tircha to do it. Once you're already a public cipher, then you're a mumcha. You don't have to investigate each time. This is interesting. So this point that you have to buy it from a mumcha and you can't rely on the bedika is for the boxes and the parshias, but just the parshias you could. I will say this, but let's do the next halach and I'll point out. So you have someone who you don't know if he's a mumcha. You don't know the guy. So lokach mimisha ain't a mumcha. So you have to check it. Now, so you'll say, okay, I bought 100 pairs from him because I'm a wholesaler. So I have to check 100 pairs. No, says the Mechaber, make tzitzis, boidik mehem shlosh tzitzis. Take 3 pairs, check 3 pairs. Shtaim shel rosh, v'achas shel yad. Let's say 2 shel rosh, 1 shel yad, or shtaim shel yad, v'achas shel rosh. A combination of 3. Im matzah ksherim, and if 3 are kosher, hochzik zehayish. Then there's a chazak on the entire shipment, which is interesting because the Star K does this regarding bedika for bugs. They'll take a giant box of lettuce. I think this is sheet. You just check 3. Then the whole thing is a chazaka. Okay, I believe that's their mahalach. Oh, and he says, because again, you're just checking to make sure the guy knows how to write it properly. Let's say there's different crates, then the presumption is he didn't write them all. He's now a wholesaler. So therefore, so each box you have to check 3 of. And let's say a Seif says this was a Rabbi Yasha's pair. He's Neman. It's interesting. Now, a couple of things about this. The Mishnah Berurah writes, and then you'll see. Obviously, this whole case where you're just taking 3, it's obviously talking about a situation where there's no one better. Obviously, if it's better, then don't be relying on this situation. Lebodka. Now, what am I checking? Chaseris v'yaseris. You're basically making sure that he knows how to write the letters properly. Listen, you're always going to have a pair, maybe that there's a smudge or crack. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking to make sure this guy is competent. And obviously, we're not concerned that it was shloi l'shma, that it was ibdan. Now, and once you check 3, then you're good. You don't have to check the rest. Obviously, we're talking about a situation where he claims that he wrote all of them. Because if he doesn't claim that he wrote all of them, then the checking 3 is irrelevant. Fine. Now, why is it Neman if he says that he got it from Adam Gadol? Says the Mishnah Berurah, okay. Now, the Kasam Magen Avram, that kaponim mekinon shemakir noisu shu muchzik b'kashrus. You still, this person has to be muchzik b'kashrus, and this is a main point. Or he has to wear tefillin on his own. Now, this is an interesting thing. These halachas basically don't really apply anymore. The points can point them out. What I mean is like this. Back then, I saw the Ois Chaim Mishalom, so that's the Munkacher. He was very stark that these halachas don't really apply in the same way, but I'll tell you why. Back then, they were all religious. It's just a matter of are they competent. But now, if a guy comes in, you have to make sure he's not reformed. You have to make sure he's not conservative, because that musig of a napikaris writing tefillin was not a common. But I mean, the point is, don't think that you could just go to eBay, buy a pair of tefillin, because there's so many of them that are reform and conservative. Yud, the Mechaber says, tefillin. Now, this is a big misconception because people don't realize it. I think if you ask 9 out of 10 people, they would say you have to check your tefillin twice every 7 years. That's not pashut. That's not true. Tefillin shehuchzu b'kashrus. If you have tefillin that were checked once, or they're muchzu b'kashrus, okay? So you bought them from a Yerushalayim, fine. They never need to be checked. So what's the 2 times in 7 years? If I only wear the tefillin a couple times a year, then my backup pair, then the presumption is because they're a backup pair, you're not going to be careful with them. Then you have to check them twice every 7 years. And let's say you have a backup pair, but I have no one to check it because I have people that can check it, but they can't sew it back up. Then you meaning is a cheskes kashrus. Mishnah Berurah says you don't have to check them ever. Chavav shekol zman shechifuim shalim, because as long as there's no outer damage. We're not concerned that it was nikiv or moichik. It's a good thing to check because sometimes sweat can affect the ink. If you drop them in water or if you drop them very hard, if there's a reason to assume that something happened, then tzrichim bedika tekiv shema nimchak k'ksav niskalkel. And if a taka needs a bedicha, then you can't wear it without a bracha, with a bracha. Because there's no chazak anymore. Now, what's the problem? But when do you have to check it twice every 7 years? If you only wear leprokim, says the Mishnah Berurah, the chayshin and shemenis afshu lekach lebodkam shnei pam b'shmita shemenis afshu, that it became like swollen. I guess nefsashu meaning leaving it out. I don't know. Ifush is like rust, so I don't know what rust means, mold, whatever. Now, so the interesting shayla. So nowadays, so by the way, the Rabbi used to say, but this is also you're supposed to check twice every 7 years. The Rabbi held that you should check it every Elul. Right? That was the whole thing. Chabad checks every Elul. So if your brother comes in every Elul, so they asked the Rebbe, what about I thought that twice every 7 years, cheskes kasher? So the Rebbe said, cheskes kasher only applies that if you know that it was kosher. He said that a lot of people, it was never really checked properly, and it never had a cheskes kasher. But I'll tell you like this, when it comes to tefillin bizmanenu, so the Mishnah Berurah said, the Shulchan Aruch says, if you wear it constantly, it technically never needs a bedika, but always good to do bedika. The Rosh Shlomo Zalman held never to do bedika, because he felt that most problems occur by opening it. However, the Aruch HaShulchan is the exact opposite. The Aruch HaShulchan ends off the Siman by saying, that was only back then. But nowadays he says the ink peels, and our tefillin do not last as long as they used to. And he says they need a bedika me'ikar hadin. He doesn't say exactly when, but frequently. So there will be an interesting machlokes between Rosh Shlomo Zalman and Rav Elyashiv. Let's just start Siman Mem. We'll do the first halacha. Also, litlis tefillin. You can't hang your tefillin. Now, what does it mean, hanging tefillin? So, it means on a peg, on the wall. You can't hang your tefillin. Bein bebatim, bein beritzuas, whether you're hanging them on the bottom, whether you're hanging them by the ritzuas. You could hang the case. You just can't hang the actual bottom themselves. Now, the Mishnah Berurah says, it's a bizayin. Now, Shabbatim tuli lamata, bein shirtzuas tuli lamata. Now, the thing is like this. I don't do this, but there are some people that when they put the shel rosh, they like hang the shel rosh until they put their head in it. I've seen people do this, where they'll grab like the ritzuas and the sides and the bottom sort of, and then they'll like put it's a weird way to do it, but I've seen people do this. The Mishnah Berurah says, Akroi ba'alma sha'ichas atilin biyadev ritzuas tluyin lamata ein lahakbid. So, every once in a while, occasionally, that's not what we're talking about. But the actual hanging the bottom at all is a problem. So the Mishnah Berurah says there used to be people that would do this, that they would hold the strap and the boxes would hang and then they would put it on their head. He says that's mutter because that's part of the hanacha process. And again, I don't know why you would have to do this. It's a strange thing. Okay. Now we'll finish up. Seif Torah asal tvaisa b'chol gavni afilu she'ba'aron hakodesh. You can't hang a Seif Torah even in the Aron HaKodesh, the Toila Aron HaKodesh. And okay. V'ayim b'chai adam shekas afilu k'she'aron HaKodesh mechub b'yatzedes l'koisel aser kol shein tachtav ayim davar ma. Even to hang the Aron Kodesh, to have the Aron Kodesh suspended is also a problem. Svarim could go in Sifrei Talmud, doimil tefillin. You can't hang Svarim either. Mekamagam Svarim, I sidur tefillas hakfum belucha yishabehem, shalshelas kal kesef asal tloisan, bam shaluchas ein doimis lekis, lefi shem mechubarim l'sidder ve'en kesider atzmei. I guess to hang them, I guess they would have the siddur, and I guess they had a chain, and they would hang it on the chain. That's also a problem. Again, it's not something that we should do. Motor lichtay psukim benir v'letloisam b'pesach beis hakneses. Oh, so this is like, like they have a picture, like a sign that says like Sur Mirav Asi Toiv. That's allowed because that's not a Noigam Oilam L'Hisanes Kishanoifel Tefillin Miyad El Aretz B'Lein Artikon. The minig is to fast if you drop tefillin on the ground, not in a case, Sefer Torah also. It's not so pashut. The whole concept that everyone fasts, that everyone who sees it fasts, is not so pashut. Mikra adin is for the person who dropped it. Everyone else seeing it, everyone else, it's more mekushet to the tzibur. It's not such a pashut azach. Even if the tefillin are in their case and you drop the case, you should still give tzedakah.